Today on the bench, I have a YouTube cluster. I call this a YouTube cluster because this is a cluster where a guy watched a video on YouTube on how to fix clusters and thought to himself, it doesn't look so hard, maybe I'll give that a try and save myself some money. And now it has more problems than what it had before. So let me just boot this up and see how bad it is. Okay, so oil and fuel gauge are working. We're getting nothing out of the battery, the temp, speedometer, and RPM. So let's open it up and see what kind of problems we have in here. So you are watching a video of a guy on YouTube fixing a cluster that watched a guy on YouTube fix a cluster. Kind of neat, huh? All right. I know that soldering isn't hard. You know, you can teach someone to solder in a couple of days and make some nice solder joints. You know, you got to have some good solder. You know, maybe some 60-40 with some good flux. Good soldering iron helps. A little practice helps. The part that people get hung up on is desoldering. That's the part that takes a little more practice and skill. So the first thing I noticed here, he installed new backlighting bulbs. He changed out the blinker bulbs and the cruise control bulb. Now these don't burn out. They're just not on long enough to burn out. But he didn't replace this backlight bulb. So this backlight bulb is on most of the time, you know, whenever the headlights are on. So these do burn out. So instead of replacing the cruise control, he should have replaced the backlighting. But anyways, let's take a look at some of the solder joints and foil here. I get this thing to focus, not the prettiest. Got a couple goobers and burns. Let's just take a look here. Now, there was the, let's see, it was the oil and gas were working, so that's these right here. These look okay. I see here he already tried to run a jumper. The entire trace, I don't know how well you can see that there, but the entire trace has been pulled off of the board all the way to the via. So that's why he has this wire going into the via here. But yeah, see if we can get that to really focus in there. Yeah, so what we have here are copper pads missing. I'm going to go ahead and undo what he did and just see how many copper pads are going to be gone. I have to run a lot more jumpers. Another thing I noticed, this stepper motor right here is still the original. This is the RPM. That hasn't been changed over to an X27, but definitely did some work here or something. So I don't know if he took one out, put one in. I don't know what would happen here, but it's butchered, and he didn't even change out the stepper motor. So that's unfortunate. Well, back to pulling out parts. Okay, so now I have everything removed and cleaned up. Pulled off the bulbs too. This customer wants to go with blue LED, so I just pulled everything. Now let's take a look at the damages that that will need to be patched up. Okay, so we'll start on the left-hand side here. So as you can see, all these pads are gone. Same with this stepper motor too. All these pads are gone. Now this, let me see if I can get it in camera. Now this is what a pad should look like, where there's still something there to solder to. There's still a copper pad with some tinned solder left on it, but this is not what it should look like. These pads have just been ripped off. So this stepper motor here too, we got one pad gone. A couple of these pads are still here, but they're lifted and they're just kind of hanging there. Speedometer, three pads are gone, and this is the one where he pulled up the entire length of foil, and this isn't even, this wire through the via isn't soldered. It's just kind of sitting there, so I'll redo that. And then the RPM, all 4 pads are gone there too. This one, even the test point is gone. Usually I like to just run jumpers to the test points, but this one I'm going to have to go back further, probably scrape away some of the solder mask and try to run a jumper. So yeah, not too good here. Pretty much, yeah, every single, just about every stepper motor is going to need some kind of work. Either all of them are gone or most of them are gone. So now it's time to run some jumpers. Jumpers are done. Focus. Alright, well on the speedometer here, the miles per hour section, I had to run a little bit longer jumpers. But with these other set of 4 here, most of these I was able to just make it to the test points. Now even with this one here, even though there was still foil pads here, the pads were ripped from the trace, so I had to run jumpers anyways. And there's the other one there. Tachometer. Oh, the glue here, I glued down these ones that didn't have any foil left, because the solder joints do kind of lock the stepper motor in place, and I didn't want these getting pushed around at all, because they'll break these really short jumpers. They'll rip foil and break things, so I just kind of locked these in place with a little bit of hot glue. But there you can see there's all the jumpers in place now. Now I'm just going to do a quick test. Now if you're wondering, it does cost more to have this kind of work done than if he wouldn't have done anything at all. You know, fixing a screwed up board is going to cost more than just a standard rebuild. So this is one of those situations where you're kind of better off not doing it at all if you're not comfortable doing it. There we go. All motors now have movement. That's good enough for me to now assemble it. I'll do a final test at the end. Now this guy, he kind of knew that he got in over his head. Probably should have stopped sooner, but he didn't. But luckily, he found me. I'm normally not afraid to take on these disasters. Most cluster repair technicians won't even touch ones that have been attempted to be fixed on by the end user that does damage like this. So now let's finish assembly. Here it is, all reassembled and cleaned up. We'll run a quick test on everything. We'll start with the RPM, mile per hour. We're looking good there. Here is your oil. Turn the oil down, turn the volts down. Fuel's going to take a little while to move. And there's the temp. And as you can see, everything is moving again. Alright, this one's done. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.